Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm playing Empires of the Middle Ages. And if you've seen my last video to the end, which is I think quite unlikely, you might have realized that well, I said there that I'm gonna play only till the year 1100. I'm simply getting tired of this, but I don't want to finish right now, so I decided I'm gonna play about another 75 years or so to the year 1100. I don't expect too many surprises here. The winner is basically clear. We had just another scoring going on, so I mean, it's Byzantium is obviously so far ahead. Even if you have a few more scoring rounds, it's unlikely that the others can catch up here. However, I guess between the third and the fifth player, it can be interesting. Red is probably going to be 2. I mean, that's also pretty safe if things won't go terribly wrong for him. But yeah, we see white, blue and green. They are kind of close. Blue has lost his empire, had to start a new one, so they will probably fall behind. And between white and green, it's going to be kind of close here. So green is at 166, blue at 185, and white 194. White scored 42, blue 18, and green 41. So we'll see. I mean, orange is obviously the last player with 44. There is no hope for them to get ahead anyway. Okay. So now we go into the year 1021. So the Byzantine player was even more lucky. He's drawn Basil II, and that gives him modifiers +5, +5, +5. I don't know how long he's gonna survive. I mean, his basic stats are not that great, and they were gonna be used to do the leader statue checks. So, but still, it might be very helpful to have him for a few rounds. So he definitely was lucky there again. Of course, exactly as expected, 2 cards later, the poor guy died, and basically nothing happened. Yeah, great. So we had the new round just showed up, and I think the first card we've drawn, or the new game turn just started, was a comet. So that means everybody has to discard all its cards, and a lot of new cards going to be played. And of course, once again, the leader died airless. In Germany this time, all the non-German areas, or the language-wise, they ended up with an unrest marker and were checked for rebellion, and Ile-de-France did rebel. That sucks. It was a good area with, I mean, not status-wise, but there was a cathedral in there, and I really wanted to bring this up. Can be very valuable with a +2 here, but I think I'm not going to try to attack that again, simply because it has a population of 3. It's really hard to take. It's a different language. Yeah, I don't know if I want to try to take it. It makes more sense to go in this direction here to the east, I guess. And also for him, it's not easy because it has a different religion. So it might as well stay for a while, maybe neutral, or yeah, that's kind of likely here. So then he can draw his, and he ended up with another leader, of course, a 3-3-3 leader. So let's draw the next card for him, or the last card, and that's a Year of Plenty in exactly his area. That's kind of cool. So that brings his stats up a little bit. Very good. So we went through the turn once again, and we've seen Saracen Raids against Naples. Basically, the Byzantine leader could defend most of them except for the last one, because he had to keep a single card. And Naples was therefore reduced by 1. In addition to that, after the rebellion in Ile-de-France, we've seen a rebellion here in Normandy. The guy attacks them too hard, and then the following rule actions didn't work out well, and then he lost Normandy here. This area is in a fantastic condition. We got even a +4 here in Wessex. Also fortification was built there. +3, +3. This is such a rich country. A +2 here in Norway, and the leader is still fantastic, and the administration rating of 9 easily explains this prosperity of England. Apart from that, not too much happened. A Year of Plenty here, which helped a little bit to improve the overall situation in Germany. And the orange player is still struggling. -3, -3 here in Lombardy and Provence. Tuscany -1. Verona is doing well, but that's basically all. So no big surprises here. So the year is 1031, and it's again bad news for the Russian player this time. We have a magnet here in Lithuania, and he's gonna attack here Novgorod. And the problem is that the Russian player only has a combat rating of 1. So even if he's gonna defend himself, that doesn't help a lot. The combat has a this guy has a combat rating of I mean, we can't try it. He's got a combat rating of 5, but he's gonna keep a card also to defend himself. So if we subtract 1 here, it drops down to a 4. It's a different language though. Let's see. Is that... wait a minute. That is the Baltic group. Okay, so this is Slavic. So it's a completely different language, and it's also a different religion. So that's a good thing. So he's actually at 0. So therefore, if he pays $4, that's enough to defend him 4 times. But first we actually got to see, maybe he dies. So the first one, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, so let's see, we have the first attack. Oh, look at that, he's already dead. Okay, so he only had to pay $1 to defend himself. And that's it. Quite a bit of luck, and actually the base also loses 1, so that drops to -1, and that's the end of the magnet here. I forgot completely about this magnet up here. So we're gonna see an attack. I should have done him the last 2 or 3 rounds, I guess. I forgot about him. So we're going to continue with him now, and he will attack Norway. Of course, the guy will defend himself. His rating is a 3. So the magnet has a -1, it's a 5, so it's a 4. +1 brings it to a 3. So you can reduce the combat rating by paying $1 to 0. I think I'm gonna do that. I mean, there is always a risk that we might lose it. Ah, damn it, I'm gonna spend $2. So then there is no more danger here. And we need 5 cards for the magnet. That would have been a conquest, so luckily nothing happened here. And I'm basically gonna do this 4 times. So we've seen some expansion, or at least attempts. The Germans tried to take Bohemia, didn't work out, but they managed to do a partial success. Then the leader died, and it's now going to be a little harder. They had a 5 leader, now they only have a 3 leader, so it's not that easy anymore. But it's only one more success, and I'm pretty sure they can do that. Verona managed to take Rome. It's not terribly valuable at -2. The Byzantine player will not be pleased by that, but as long as he doesn't proceed south, I think it's going to be okay. I mean, he's not that powerful anyway. And the Muslim player has taken back Normandy after the rebellion. So, but now we see an extraordinary thing. Actually, the leader died heirless of the Byzantine Empire, and you can see clearly it is all in flames. In each area we had to place an unrest, and we got to check them all for rebellion. So this is a huge empire, and it's now completely chaos there. So let's see, maybe he will hit by this hard. Let's see, we have Naples, but there we have a fortress, so it might not be that bad. Yeah, that's safe. Same thing applies to Sicily here. That should be also fine. We have here Croatia. Well, we will see, we will see. That's okay. Serbia, okay. Bulgaria, well, there's a different language here, so might be problematic. However, I have a tie with these guys. Nope, I don't. The ties go away. So that makes it harder. There is a real danger here. But that's also safe. So until now I'm doing good. I think I already rolled for Macedonia, so let's do Greece. We have a fortress there. That's no problem. Adrianople. That doesn't look good. However, there is also a fortress. So let's see, we are at 5. -2 is 3. I think we're good. I'm pretty sure we're good here. Yeah, no problems here. Then I roll for Constantinople. I have a fortress there, so I don't think it's going to be too bad. Nope. Asia, it's looking good. Oh, we got an 11 here, but it's also a fortress. No language modifiers, so no problems here. Actually, I'm pretty sure the same applies for these other areas, or at least for that one. As long as there's a fortress, I think a rebellion, well, on a 2 we could see a rebellion there. In Cilicia, that's not happening. It's only a 12, but that was close. Anatolia, well, we don't have a fortress there, but we're good. Trebizond, okay, that's fine. These are a little harder now because this is Muslim, different language, and unrest. So these guys in Syria, they probably will revolt. No, I think a 7 is usually good. Yeah, no problems here. What about Armenia? This is also a little tricky. No fortress and another language. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gone. Yeah, Armenia did revolt. But these are actually the only ones. So I think we can be really happy about the result here. Only Armenia left the empire. Of course, there's a ton to repair now, but that could have been much worse. Okay, it's the next turn now. The year is 1041, and actually I decided I'm going to finish this by the year 1050. If I have to play one additional turn, I'm going to finish gaming forever. This is really fatiguing. But anyway, let's do what the 2 last turns of this game. So, a magnet showed up here in Syria. So he will try to attack there right away. He's got a combat rating of 5. It's possible that he also has a combat rating of 9. There is here a table where you can check that, but he's got a combat rating of 5. However, I can defend myself, and the point is simply that I have that much money that it's not too bad, even though my empire is in a very bad shape. I mean, the problem is that I see the point here. The problem is that I cannot rule then. So therefore, I might reconsider that. Let me see. So there's a thing that I didn't know. The magnet will appear here no matter what. So I think he's not only going to attack Syria, but he will simply appear here. So I'm going to remove that marker and replace it with a magnet marker here. I didn't have that in mind, but I checked the rules and they confirmed that. So we have now a magnet here, and he will attack either Anatolia or Cilicia. And we're going to draw, of course, 5 cards for him. And there are no language or religious modifiers for him. That's also kind of a specific rule. And this is set to 0 if he starts there. Okay. So that's gonna be hard, I guess. So on a 1 to 3 it's Anatolia, and he's gonna attack Cilicia. That's better for us because we have a castle here. So the guy has a 5. If he attacks in here, it's reduced by 3, so it's a 2. So basically, simply spend a buck. And I have also these tactical systems going on. Which helps also during a defensive action. So basically, the guy can't do me any damage as long as I spend a buck here. And it reduces the base. So that's getting harder for him now. He's gonna try it again. And the base drops, and of course I'm gonna defend myself. The base drops down further. And the magnet dies again. And again, this is kind of a weird... Wait a minute. Why do I have still 4 cards? I might not have drawn a card for the first one. Yeah, okay. This is, yeah. Okay, I mean, there he goes. These guys die much too easily. I mean, it's lucky here for the Byzantine player, but still, I mean, over the whole game, we see that all the time. constantly these dying monarchs, and I think that happens far too often here. So we have a new event showing up. The eastern situation reminds me a lot of on the eastern migration, but these times these are simply other areas. We've got a roll for specific areas. On a 6, the social status is decreased. On a 1, it is increased. So we got a roll for Georgia. Okay, so that goes up 1 space, or one step. And then we roll for Armenia, for Syria, and for Jerusalem. Okay, nothing here. And that's already it. Okay. So the Byzantine Empire is actually declining a little bit. I mean, compared to his biggest expansion. The leader died again airless. So we had to roll again on the home language spaces. And we've seen now a rebellion in Serbia and in Bulgaria. So here in the east, some areas have fallen away, and also now here in the Balkans. So this definitely hurts. I think he lost about 5 areas or so in the last 2 or 3 turns. That is really painful. Although, I don't know, I think he didn't have Georgia at any time. I think he had Armenia and Syria, and then Bulgaria and Serbia. But yeah, that sucks, definitely. And he still has a lot of unrest here going on. Yeah, the Byzantine player is really in some trouble now, because he only has a 1 administration rating and all this ruling to do. So he basically has to pay for it in most areas to be even allowed to do so. So for example, here in Greece, he's got to pay $1 because if you have a negative modifier, you can't do it. So to get to 0 here, he has to pay $1, and at least that makes now the unrest go away. Adrianople, it's the same thing here. I mean, he's got enough money, but in some areas when there are different languages and so, it's getting more and more expensive. That was also fine, so the unrest goes away. But yeah, it will take him some time to recover, and we're not going to see that in this game anymore, at least not to his full strength. So this magnet is not really very friendly to the players here. We have he couldn't do a lot here anymore though, because there is now a fortification, so there was no attack going on here. He's in a seafaring space, so he can try to cross the sea and attack there. But that also didn't happen, and not even a plunder didn't happen here, because these areas were also simply too strong. There's a fortification here. However, he plundered in Prussia and Livonia. Still, I think the English player is gonna try to kill the magnet now, and he's got a pretty good chance here. If he starts, let's say from here, from Wessex, he's got a +4, so that brings him to a +7. It's a 10 then. He's got to subtract 2, and that's basically it. So we're gonna pay $3 because we got to cross the sea, and we're at 8. Now that didn't work out, and the base drops down 1 space, and the leader dies. No big shock here. Turn here, the English or Irish player is doing now his actions, and it's another year of famine. And I just want to go, after all these hours with you, through the last turn of the last player turn together, although it's not interesting at all. I mean, it's another -2. Basically, we don't even have to do this anymore. But I mean, let's bring this to an end. This goes to a -2. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Sardinia, I'm gonna do that off camera. This is not too interesting. Okay, so we're done with that. And now we got our 5 cards left. And mainly I wanna, there was also a year of famine in this area here. So therefore we gotta restore that a little bit. My rating is only a 2, so that's not too good. So what I'm going to do is I will rule here, but to do that I will actually have to pay. The cathedral gives me a +1, so I'm at 3, but I got to subtract 5, so I got to pay $2 to be even able to rule there. And it did work out. So we are allowed to remove the unrest, and this goes up 1 space. Fine. We gotta pay, I think, even $3 in there because there is no cathedral. Okay, there we go. And let's see what we get. That wasn't great. So we gotta roll for rebellion here because that was a negative result. And that looks pretty bad, actually. I mean, the thing, let's see, we got a 5, different language brings it up to a 7, but the tie brings it to a 5 again, and we have a 3 here. Yeah, that's a rebellion, so that kind of sucks. We've lost a pretty good province here. It's definitely not great. Do I want to consider an attack? Try to take it back? I might. The unrest goes away. I think I want to try it. I want to attack from Mercia. So we got a 5 then. It's a different language. And a pretty good result here. So we got to subtract 4. That brings me to a 1. Let's say I pay 10, that's a little too much, right? It doesn't really matter, I mean, we have a ton of money. Let's say I pay $8. I have a result of 7 then, or a combat modifier of 7, and, well, that didn't work out. On the contrary, this dropped down even further. I mean, I could simply try to do a few more. I want to rule in Scotland. That gives me also a point or not. Shit. And I'm going to try it again one last time. I'm going to finish this with an attack. I'm going to throw in all my money, which is not a lot. So let's see what we get here. That is not good enough. That's a C8. Actually, the base drops even further. And that's it. Boy, that's it. I'm done with that. Holy shit. Now, I don't know how long actually. I think it's no exaggeration to say something between 40 and 60 hours. I really don't know that anymore. Now, if it would go on for 5 or 10 hours maybe, I think I could struggle through. But we're not even in the middle, you know? I mean, we have about 500 more years to go, and we did about 300 by now. So that is a perspective. You know, I really don't get any motivation out of this game to continue this for another, I don't know, 6 weeks or so. It's just not gonna happen here. That said, I don't think it's a terribly bad game. I just think that the game is definitely not designed to be played as a campaign game. And the rules even say that. The rules warn you to play the campaign game. They say it's a very, very long game. And they say it's unbalanced. It's not exactly tested as a campaign game. And they strongly suggest the scenarios. And that, after playing that, I think that makes sense. I mean, it was kind of interesting to see what happened here in these 100 years, and I think maybe if you watch it, it might be a little bit entertaining, you know. But if you play it, it all goes on so slowly, and it all drags on so long. Going to war is something that can take really, really long, especially if you want to take these larger areas with higher population, and the other guy knows you're attacking him and he's able to defend himself. War can go on for such a long time. We've seen that especially between these two players here. And in the end, not really much changed. I mean, if you build a coalition, you have a pretty good chance to destroy someone, like we've seen between these two players, or even these three players fighting the French guy. Okay, that works out. But even then it can be hard, like we've seen the first time they tried together to kill him. When then Otto showed up, and he was such a powerful leader, it simply wasn't possible. They didn't manage to destroy the empire. It just didn't work out. Mostly what you will see is maybe a conflict over a single piece of land or something. But even that is a questionable action, because very often if you go to war, the land or the areas you fight over will end up in a very poor state, and so it takes a lot of efforts to try to get them, and then takes again a lot of effort to restore them. And in some cases it seems like actually it only makes sense to first start to pillage an area and really ruin it before you can take it. Especially these richer areas here. We've seen that here. That was the strategy of the coalition here, to really, or in Ile-de-France I think that was the case, to really ruin the area, bring down the defense value of the area, and then try to take it. And then try to rebuild it. But in the end, well, it wasn't worth anything. We've seen a revolution, it was gone, and you got to start all over again. I think that although I kind of enjoyed this ahistorical developments here, I think that if you play the game in if you play a scenario, it's much more interesting. You have a historical setup, and in a certain way we also had a historical start here, right? But then the scenario will be over in, I don't know, 200 years or maybe only 100 years or so. And that makes much more sense. It's still a long game. I don't know how long it will be, maybe 10 hours, maybe 20 hours, something like that. Probably more 20 hours. I think per turn, well, when I played now solo, each turn took me at least 20 minutes, or each round took me at least 20 minutes. So if you think about it, it's about 90 minutes or so per game turn. You got 4 game turn each 100 years, so I don't know. It's about 6 hours for 100 years, but I don't know. I mean, you gotta be very, very fast if you play like this. And it took me definitely a lot longer to do it. That's for sure. It depends on how the game is going. If you have conflict going on, for example, it definitely takes longer. If you have these peaceful times like we had more at the end now, where it's mainly ruling and improving your empire, it's pretty quick. But if there is a conflict going on, if you have raiders, if you have magnates, and all kinds of things going on here, then it takes significantly longer. I have some serious problems with the game. First of all, I think there seems too much luck involved. To a certain degree, where it feels nearly so futile to do anything, you know. I mean, you are improving your empire, and then you got the Viking guys, or a year of famine, or whatever, and it's all ruined again. And, you know, in a way that's maybe fun or realistic or whatever, but it is just so frustrating. Especially, I don't know. And then, you know, these leader die airless things, and these permanent leader deaths, they make it also hard to follow a long-term strategy. If you have a good leader and you say, okay, I might use that guy to go into war, it's easily possible that he's dead 1 or 2 rounds later. And you might say, okay, it's realistically, you know, if you go to war, the guy could die in 1 or 2 years. That is true, but I have a feeling it happened a little bit too often here in this game. We've seen too many leader deaths, in my opinion. In a way, it feels a bit like you're playing a solitaire game against a gaming system, like, I don't know, for example, RAF or so. You know, where the game nearly plays itself, and you can't do a lot of decisions, because you draw the cards, and you know you have these years of famine, and you flip it all, and then you rule, and you flip these cards and hope to get the right numbers, and then you can flip it back, and then you have problems here, and the leader dies airless, and you do this, and it is all very, very mechanical. You know, there is a lot of fiddliness going on the board. Maybe with the old edition that is better. I have a feeling that could be better, because there you have these little spaces on the board, and you basically just slide the markers from I don't know, from -3 to +3 or something, and you also have indicators for unrest, I think, and for religion. So you don't have to permanently exchange the markers and look for a matching one, but you just have it sitting there, and then just moving it a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. I think that makes the game definitely faster, and the next time I play it, I think I'm going to use the old map and combine that with these new cards. I think the new cards add quite a bit to the historical atmosphere. Maybe not a ton, but a bit, I think. I've already said that I'm not a big fan of all these additional buildings and stuff, because then it's even more optimizing your own country. You know, it's not just the ruling and trying to bring everything to the max, but also in addition to that, you try to build everywhere these specific buildings, like the cathedrals and the commerce or whatever, and then you have even less time to interact with your opponents. So overall, I can say I'm really happy that I'm done with this, that I'm through this. I will come back to it one day, but only for the scenarios. And maybe then it's a little more interesting. And as I said, there is a lot of this solitaire game feeling where you just play some kind of system and try to react to what is actually happening. And that is a type of game that I usually don't enjoy a lot. There are people who like that a lot, but I'm not a big fan of these types of games. The most interesting aspect here is probably the diplomacy, not this thing of getting claims and ties and stuff, but you know, the diplomacy between the players, because obviously it's much harder to hold out against two players or against a coalition, and so that is an interesting aspect, to say, hey, come, we work together, we try to destroy this empire, or at least to weaken it, and then we kind of divide this in a specific way and come to agreements here. This is some interesting aspects of the game, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are other games who reflect this type of negotiation, I think, in a much more interesting way. And yeah, you know, I don't have to struggle my I don't have to struggle through this to experience that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I don't have much more to say about that. I'm pretty much exhausted about that, and I also have to to apologize, because at the end, the last videos, I know I was a bit sloppy here and there, and you know, I think you also got the feeling that, you know, I just wanted to get over with this. And yes, I'm really glad that this is done now. And I hope the next one will be more enjoyable for all of us. But anyway, it is something I wanted to do. And yeah, well, hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegame.com. Bye.